be a line
commissioner.
of fire?
No, I always sit one seat away to make sure people know I'm not you guys.
Oh,
I prefer to be down
Thanks.
there.
thanks. Here's, Okay. It is 10 o'clock. If you would all rise and join us in Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Streeter.
You all will stand and bow your heads with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you in absolute awe of you sending your Son to us, and yesterday he ascended to heaven to forgive us of our sins and to give us redemption, true grace in your name forever. Lord, please fill us with your Spirit. Please fill our minds and our hearts with your thoughts and your guidance. We need you, Lord. Divided we fall, united we stand. In your name, amen.
Amen. All right, we have a full agenda today, so let's go ahead and get started. Please let the record show that all three commissioners are present, along with the county attorney Drew Porter and the auditor's office. Have you all had an option to read the agenda? I do have a couple of add-ons, if I may. Under new business, G, Mayor Yoakum is here. H, Scott Brown for the Community Corrections grant. I is opening, I thought I saw him a while ago, opening CCMG road paving bids, and J is Sheriff Vantlin. So I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Hold on just a minute. What's the sheriff for?
To discuss dogs.
Okay.
I'd like to add the wind and data to that, also the moratoriums. Data centers, I mean.
Okay. I make a motion to approve as amended. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Pace, review of minutes. Have you all had an opportunity to review the minutes? If you have, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 24th meeting.
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
One abstention, yes, thank you. Okay. We do have PACE, Community Action Agency. We had one vacancy due to the individual leaving the community. If I can find that. Yeah, 4 pages back. Brad Smith. Pace has requested that Brad Smith fill the position of just had it. Of the opening position. How you like
Leslie
that?
LaFawn.
There you go, Leslie LaFawn. So I'll make a motion to appoint Brad Smith to that position. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Resolution 26 dash, what number you have this as?
This will be number 3.
Number 3. Energy Land Use Advisory Committee, if you would please.
There was some discussions at the last few commissioner meetings about establishing a land use committee as it relates to energy matters. This resolution would be whereas the Board of Commissioners of Knox County, Indiana, as the executive and legislative body of Knox County, has the authority to adopt resolutions Knox County government. Whereas the Board of Commissioners seeks to foster desirable growth in Knox County in an orderly and well-considered manner. Whereas under ordinance 2016-13 and ordinance 2012-9, the Knox County Board of Commissioners and Knox County Area Plan Commission have prepared a comprehensive land use plan, zoning restrictions, and land use regulations pursuant to Indiana Code Section 3674. Whereas the Knox County Area Plan Commission and Knox County Board of Commissioners are authorized by Indiana Code 3674-601 to adopt zoning and land use regulations to secure adequate light, air, convenience of access, and safety from fire, flood, and other danger, to lessen or avoid congestion in public ways, to promote the public health, safety, comfort, morals, convenience, and general welfare, and to otherwise accomplish the purposes of Indiana Code 3674. Whereas the Knox County Board of Commissioners is particularly interested in preventing negative economic impacts to any area of Knox County caused by industrial or utility projects. Whereas the Knox County Board of Commissioners recognizes the importance of regulating land use and development to protect public health, safety, and welfare. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Knox County, Indiana as follows. An Energy Land Use Advisory Committee is hereby created and shall consist of the following 12 members as invited by the Knox County Board of Commissioners. One would be the Knox County Board of Commissioner appointed by the Board of Commissioners, a Knox County Council member appointed by the Knox County Council, Knox County Attorney, Knox County Director of Area Planning, two Knox County Area Planning members as appointed by Area Plan Commission, Knox County Area Planning Commission Attorney, Chief of the Vincennes Township Fire Department, Knox County Sheriff, Acting CEO of the Knox County Indiana Economic Development Corporation, a representative of the Knox County Soil and Water Conservation District appointed by the Soil and Water Conservation District, and a member of the public appointed by the Board of Commissioners. The Knox County Board of Commissioners appointed to the Energy Land Use Advisory Committee shall serve as the president of the committee, organize the meetings, and preside over the meetings. Members of the Energy Land Use Advisory Committee shall serve terms at the pleasure of the appointing body, and the Energy and Land Use Advisory Committee shall provide recommendations to the Knox County Board of Commissioners related to the intersection of land use regulations and energy. The Energy Land Use Advisory Committee serves only as an advisory committee to the Knox County Board of Commissioners. All land use regulation power shall remain vested in the Knox County Board of Commissioners and Knox County Area Plan Commission pursuant to Indiana law.
Thank you. So what this is we do not have ordinances for data centers. We do not have ordinances for wind or any other green technology that's out there. So we're putting together this committee to look at developing and creating ordinances for that. Any question, comment? None hearing. I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-3, Energy Land Use Advisory Committee. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. C, engagement of Barnes and Thornburg for land use planning.
Barnes and Thornburg is an Indianapolis firm. They've represented Knox County on several different matters over the
Yes.
past decade. They come highly recommended and assisted, again, on some of these issues with the first two solar projects that were there as well. So in discussions with Rick Hall, who would be the senior attorney on this, he would provide technical assistance for the committee as well as the commissioners.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the engagement of Barnes and Thornburg for land use planning.
I second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. New business. Mary Yocum, we'll go ahead and skip to you if you'd like, please.
First, thanks for putting me on your agenda. Here in the last month or so, we signed a MOU with the county on taking county dogs. It is not working out the way it should, and in that agreement, it says I have to give, or either party has to give 30-day written notice of termination of that MOU. Today, I've handed you letters setting that 30 days in motion. There's been some recent events that I don't agree with, so it's my opinion that we need to discontinue this MOU.
Okay.
And if I may offer a suggestion, and you may just tell me to shut up and leave it alone, put an animal shelter at your jail. You have visitors there in your facility for days on end that could take care of these animals, and it may be good therapy for them. So maybe the county should look at opening their own animal shelter and taking in these dogs, because it's not working out for the city. So that's all I've got.
Well, I want to make a comment to you. I appreciate all the many years of working together and on situations that haven't always been good. And the city has provided a great service to the county for many years. I'm very sorry. I'm not sure what all has occurred to formulate this letter from you, but hopefully there can be a remedy in the future. If not, thank you. And to also the Vincent's Animal Shelter for working with the county.
All right, thank you very much. And I'll just say that through all this, I've been accused of probably committing crime, and this isn't working. It's,
Understand.
I
We've
understand.
done nothing wrong. We're following our rules and regulations, and so, but I appreciate
Yeah.
everything you
I,
guys do.
I
really
truly do
I know it's
appreciate the phone calls,
a thankless job. So
yeah, the phone calls we've had, and I understand and appreciate your position, and thank you to both you and Leah and the Pet Port, all of the volunteers and employees at the Pet Port. You guys do a great job, and I understand.
All right. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe, appreciate it. Scott Brown, I know you need to go as well. Scott Brown, Community Corrections Grant.
Yes. All I'm looking for is a signature on our proposed grant. If this is what we do every year, we're seeking, $676,770 from the state. We don't think we're gonna get that because they've told us expect a cut. That's fine because we've upped our project income, the fees we charge people to be in there instead of being in jail or prison. I'd much rather be out on Old Decker Road if I was involved in the legal system than in jail or prison. So we've, and that's $1,981,738 that we hope to collect in the next fiscal year.
Want to run our Pet Port?
Put dogs in there. They love it.
Just throwing it out there.
Put them out there.
So just a couple questions. I haven't talked to you. Is there any changes on, you say just the money, but none of the other specifics of programming or?
There's a lot of changes, and a lot of them go through the advisory board. We do a lot of internal changes. We're just trying to provide services, like drug court. We work
Well,
with
I mean with the state, with the grant itself,
with,
your application.
yes. What was the question?
I've seen our standard application every year with the state funding cuts. Is there any other changes that we should be aware of? Other than funding cuts?
No.
No, okay.
I mean, that's the big,
Okay.
the $64,000 question is, what are they gonna, here's what they did, and it upset a lot of the directors. We've been working with the legislators and lobbying. We've been pretty aggressive at it. We've got a lobbyist. And then the state comes out and they give X amount of dollars to community corrections, but for some reason that gets deducted. And we know there's an administrative cost with the State Department of Corrections. So we expect that, but they went above and beyond on their cuts up there. And, so our state association, they're looking at alternatives. We'll see what happens. I'm just focused on our facility and keeping it solvent and running and keeping people out off Old Decker Road. And I think we've done a pretty good job with that.
Thank you.
We provide transportation, no matter if it's to McDonald's or wherever, to the factories, because it's a lot cheaper than putting a multi-million-dollar sidewalk out that far at this point. But, and we've managed it at this point. I mean, we've got a system for drivers to, you know, it's like we're almost doing a Uber service. They call and say, hey, I'm done, can you come get me? Somebody runs out there and gets them. We've had to add staff, so we've done that. I think we've been doing pretty good. It's working out.
Make a motion to approve the DOC grant for community corrections.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Great, thank you. You'll need,
Yeah.
auditor's office will need a copy as well.
Sure.
So I got one that's for all three signatures on ours. Okay, I got you. So you get a copy for the auditor?
Yeah, the auditor's office will need a copy.
Appreciate your preparedness, Joe. Haven't heard a drug court update in a while. I remember the first, I recall that.
And yet, here we are.
Oh, if only Ryan could see.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Let's go ahead and skip to CCMG, opening of the, oh, you were right in the front row, I was looking in the back. Sorry, Chad. Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Back to you.
How many did we end up with?
2.
2.
This here is from E&B Paving.
As Chad's opens that, so this is for road paving for the 2026 year. As most of you know, we did not receive the CCMG this last time around. However, they did open it back up, an additional 75 million plus a few more million added in there for additionals. So we were encouraged to reapply, and this is part of that. So we will open the bids and then take it under advisement.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, oh, you turn your mic on. There you go.
Well, let me find it here.
$1.67.
Is it in the back, Mike? I know. I've done the same thing.
So it is $1.67 then, right?
You don't know. Must be. See what's got there. Should make sure it ain't the same thing, Kelly. Yep.
And that is, here, it's on this page right
It must be on the back.
Page number 3 is which one it is.
Yes, this is the CCMG.
So this is 2 copies.
I'm hoping it's one page back here.
Right here.
Okay, a total for E&B paving with the CCMG is 1.5 million 800, excuse me, 1.5 $807 $807,000 for 2725. Mike, you got that? No. One.
1,587,427.25.
Thank you.
1.5, 87, 427.
Where is the local? Maybe another thing too. Let me see that. This is for local, I think. Yeah, 'cause there's all the copies. This here's for the local paving. The local paving bid is $78,127.25.
Really?
That's what it says, grand total of local roads. Yep. Here is Milestone. Something don't sound right there. Okay, this is local. Looking to make sure I'm right, Kelly.
Yeah, we do.
I am too.
Is that the Indeed one?
These are both EMB,
Here it is.
local, and
That's not right. Let's see how this could be right. Here it is. I'm getting three different. I'm getting three different numbers here. This is liabilities.
no, that's their sheet of assets.
Yeah, that would be
So
it.
it's right here. It's the same thing.
Okay. Here it is. This is for the local paving
For who?
for Milestone. $87,569. This must be the same thing. Yep, this is for the local, their second one. This must be the CCMG. Sure will. Yep. This is for Milestone with the CCMG. It's 1.563. Here, I'm just gonna do this easy. $1,563.38 and 50 cents. So 1,563,038.50.
That's close bids.
Me neither.
That is odd. Okay. Make a motion to take these under advisement. Chad, stick around. I
Yep.
got some questions on it.
Okay, yeah, me too.
So I make a motion to take these under advisement pending CCMG. Do I have a second?
Second.
No, hold on. We're gonna have to award. They're awarding community crossings as the bids come in. I mean, are you wanting to wait? I mean, they're awarding on an, I'm just saying,
Okay.
is NDOT not awarding as receipt?
I don't know.
Well, they are. So if you wanna wait, fine, if
No,
not,
We'll go ahead and approve. But I want to make it so it's pending the CCMG, the grant. So I will amend that to approve, pending the financial commitment from the state of Indiana. Why don't you get with the EMB guy and see if you can figure this out real quick?
yeah, let's table this and
Yeah.
come back to it at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
I also wanna make sure that these are that everything's included for the attorney. We need to make sure the bid bond. Okay, here.
I'm gonna look at these and
Sorry, there's a
No,
lot of variables here, and they are awarding as they get these.
Okay.
And I don't wanna be at the bottom of the barrel.
Okay. Sheriff Fantlin. Doug, oh, there he is, right there.
Morning.
Morning. No, green. Green. There you go.
Okay. On proposals, is that what you're looking for from me?
Yeah, what are, kind of talk to us a little bit about, now we're without Petport, what are your plans here?
Well, first of all, I will have to agree with Mayor Yocum on this. This has been an ongoing problem with the city off and on. I've worked under 4 different sheriffs, and year in, off and on, year after year, we've had problems, differences using the Petport. So moving on from that, you guys are wanting to know proposals. Since they have canceled the contract, I've been in contact with 3 different kennels outside of Knox County. 2 of them are interested in taking our dog, well, all 3 are interested in taking the dogs. One has already taken one of our dogs and has taken them in the past. The other 2 kennels, one is willing to take them now. The 3rd kennel, they want to sit down and talk to you guys, the commissioners, about a contract. So we've got an option that way, 3 different kennels outside the county. The other option, you guys, as you know, are in charge of the stray dogs and housing of the stray dogs. Per state statute, it falls under the commissioners. And the commissioners can hire an animal warden, which we have, and you guys are paying for it. You guys already pay the bills for the pet ports. My other option would be, since there's an ongoing problem, always has been with sheriff's office, for me to remove myself from the equation you guys go ahead and use your animal warden, as he is now. Nothing would change. They still get the calls. He gets the calls and he would answer them. So far, the proposal, do you guys have any questions on that?
I have a lot, but I'm just hearing this from you, so, I mean, are you asking for us to make a immediate answer?
No, no.
Okay.
I'm just giving
Okay.
proposals right
Yeah,
now, something you guys can talk about later.
I mean, this letter is, yeah, this is brand new,
Yeah,
so,
no, I'm not
okay.
forcing anything on you now. not
okay,
at all.
just curious,
Yeah.
curious. I mean, is there something being discussed about this?
No, so Drew, obviously, we would have to have an interlocal agreement with anyone that we would utilize. Kind of guide us through, what are we looking at?
What, if you don't mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got one more thing
Oh, yeah.
that was put on the table, putting a pet or a kennel out at the sheriff's office. No, I would not agree to that. Of course, you only have to deal with me another 8 months and 3 weeks and 1 day, I think. So after that, I'm out. But
How many days, how many hours do you have it,
yeah,
do you have it down?
yeah. So there's too much going on at the county jail to put a kennel out there. First of all, you have disease, you have waste, you have long-term care. What are we gonna do with these animals if they stay a long time there? We have 4 law enforcement canines that are out and train in that area. And when you bring stray dogs onto the property, there's a high probability of disease getting to them. And with training and equipment and purchase of these canines, we've got over $100,000 in them. And to put canines out there, stray dogs, that's not a good combination. The other problem is, it was mentioned that inmates would take care of the dogs. No, you cannot put inmates in charge or oversee the dogs. The first time one gets bit or mauled, Mr. Porter can tell you what's going to happen whenever that happens. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, after looking over all this, I'm not for putting it out there. But like I say, I'm on the backstretch, so. Okay, now, I'm sorry to cut you off, but go ahead.
No, you're fine, Sheriff. On the 2 potential kennels outside of Knox County, I mean, if we would need to negotiate an interlocal with them, speak with their counsel, we can provide the copy that we have of what we've done for several years, and see what their rates are gonna be. Obviously, transporting them, however far those places are, is gonna increase.
They're neighboring counties.
Okay, okay. So we just need to negotiate that and bring that to the table, hopefully maybe have a couple proposals. The other one, if we have a warden that still works with the pet board, it sounded like was the insinuation there,
He
but.
works for the county.
Right,
Just
right.
drops off at the pet board.
Yeah, I mean, we made incremental advances to get to the warden that we have now for the animal warden, so, I mean, both options could work. I mean, I would
Okay.
say start with the interlocal negotiations.
All right, so moving forward, what I think we should do is we'll sit down with you after this meeting, find out what counties it is that you're talking with. We'll need to get with their folks. Our attorneys will need to sit down together and hammer out an interlocal agreement, because as of right now, we have no way of paying for anything that's going out, because we don't have an interlocal with anyone. So, after this meeting, if it's okay with everybody, we'll sit down and ask what counties it is. I know you don't wanna disclose that right now. And then we'll have our attorney reach out to theirs and start working on interlocal with them.
I have one more
sound-
question, just 'cause my past year's knowledge of being the president, so when we have immediate law enforcement required dog calls, what's the protocol
Yeah,
now?
The sheriff's office will respond to aggressive dogs by all means.
Okay,
A stray dog that's not aggressive,
okay,
we've been going to all these,
so,
and they eventually, if they locate the dog, will contact the animal warden. and
So-
the animal
okay,
warden will-
so Johnny will still be taking those calls and then transporting?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
but you guys are
Right.
paying for him.
I'm
so
just
yes.
wanted to be clear.
Yes, but yeah, we're not gonna go away, and
Okay.
if we had an aggressive dog, yes, a sheriff's deputy will show up.
Wanted to be clear on that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks, Sheriff.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. let's get back to the regular new business ordinance. I'm gonna assume this is 4, since the last one was 3.
That was a resolution, this would be ordinance 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Okay, so ordinance 2026-2, amending the ordinance number 2020-2, adopting standards on solar energy systems. Mr. Porter,
Get back to my packet here.
it's kind of a thick packet today.
This is an ordinance of Knox County Board of Commissioners amending ordinance number 2020-2 and corresponding sections of the Knox County, Indiana zoning ordinance, sections 152.001 through 152.265, adopting standards on solar energy systems. Whereas the Knox County Board of Commissioners, as the executive and legislative body of Knox County, has the authority to adopt ordinances relating to the administration of Knox County. Whereas the Commissioners seek to foster desirable growth in Knox County in an orderly and well-considered manner. Whereas under ordinance 2016-13 and ordinance 2012-9, the Knox County Board of Commissioners and Knox County Area Plan Commission have prepared a comprehensive land use plan, zoning restrictions, and land use regulations pursuant to Indiana Code Section 3674, collectively land usage regulations. Whereas the Knox County Area Plan Commission and Board of Commissioners are authorized by Indiana Code Section 3674-601 to adopt zoning and land use regulations to secure adequate light, air, convenience of access, and safety from fire, food, and other danger, to lessen and or avoid congestion in public ways, to promote the public health, safety, comfort, morals, convenience, and general welfare, and to otherwise accomplish the purposes of Indiana Code Section 3674. Whereas ordinance number 2020-2 was enacted by the Knox County Board of Commissioners on September 1st, 2020, after public hearings and favorable recommendations from the Knox County Area Plan Commission on August 10th of 2020. The provisions of ordinance number 2022 were incorporated into the Knox County, Indiana zoning ordinances under sections 152.001 through 152.265. Whereas on December 2nd, 2025 and January 6th, 2026, the Knox County Area Plan Commission held public hearings with public comment related to potential amendments to the Knox County Solar Energy Systems Ordinance. On February 3rd, 2026, the Commission passed resolution number 2026-1, which set forth the Commission's informal recommendations regarding amendments to the Knox County Solar Energy Systems Ordinance. Whereas the Knox County Board of Commissioners have held public meetings with public comment related to potential amendments to the Knox County Solar Energy Systems Ordinance. Whereas the Knox County Board of Commissioners desire to adopt the informal recommendations of the Commission regarding amendments to the Knox County Solar Energy Systems Ordinance for the reasons set forth in the Commission's Resolution Number 1, 2026-1. Whereas adopting this ordinance will follow the statutory procedure outlined in Indiana Code 3674-607, as the Knox County Board of Commissioners is initiating this zoning ordinance. Now therefore, be it ordained that pursuant to Indiana Code 3674 et sec, that the Board of Commissioners of Knox County, Indiana hereby ordain as follows. Pursuant to Indiana Code 3674-607, this ordinance shall be referred to the Knox County Area Plan Commission for consideration and recommendations before any final action is taken by the Knox County Board of Commissioners. That the Knox County Board of Commissioners ordinance number 2020-2 and the corresponding Knox County, Indiana zoning ordinance under sections 152.001 through 152.265 are hereby amended as follows. Under definitions 152.261, there will be added a section major thoroughfares, which shall be defined as public roads that are frequently used, have heavy traffic volume, and run in any direction and or connect with U.S. or state primary highway. The Knox County Board of Commissioners or applicable local governing entities shall designate major thoroughfares on its master road plan for the political unit. Under section 152.264, development standards for commercial solar energy systems. Under section A2, buffer zones, the minimum setback shall be 300 feet from the foundation of any existing residence or principal structure to any SES structure. And under 152.264A7, under screening, that section will be deleted and replaced as follows. In all instances that a CSES adjoins property with a residential dwelling, major public thoroughfare, or is located across a public road from a residential dwelling, Screening shall be installed to reduce glare and inhibit view of the facility. The screening shall consist of the following: opaque fencing and vegetative screening to obstruct the fencing and solar equipment. The vegetative screening shall consist of plants approved by the Knox County Soil and Water District for solar projects to further the goals of native plant use, limit ecosystem impacts, ensure proper plant growth rates, establish minimum maximum sizes, and establish proper conservation guidance. The purpose of the screening requirements is to obscure the solar equipment from exterior view from major public thoroughfares and adjoining residential properties. The screening must be of sufficient height to conceal solar panels from view. The screening mixture of fencing and landscaping shall achieve a minimum of 80% opacity year-round, starting from substantial completion of construction. Those are the two changes to the ordinance. And then that any portion of any prior ordinance in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance is hereby repealed. Section 4 of this ordinance is that this ordinance does not repeal, preempt, void, or preclude any state or federal laws related to the regulation of solar energy systems and components thereof. Just for the public that I'm sure is here for this ordinance, any local ordinance is always preempted by state law or federal law. And under 5, if any portion of this ordinance is determined to be unconstitutional or in violation of state law by a court or competent jurisdiction, the remaining portions of the ordinance shall continue in full force and effect, and this ordinance shall be in effect from and after its passage according to law.
So we had the recommendations from the Water and Soil.
I just received those late last night, so they do have an approved plant list now.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously this ordinance will not be effective. It has to go through area plan, however long that process is, and then come back for second and third reading. So we'll attach that
Okay.
list by second and third.
Okay.
And I'll circulate the area plan.
Okay, thank you.
They did work really hard on it. Ben Burke and Troy Hinkle did an excellent job with it, so.
Okay, thank you. Comment?
So the recommendations that I was instructed to send to Andrew, those are not gonna be discussed or included? I mean, I was under that
No.
understanding.
It was decided under Drew's suggestion is that we pass this part today, get this easy part, the recommendations of the area plan, sorry, couldn't think of it. Recommendations of the area plan. Once that part is done, then we come back and we can add in your recommendations, my recommendations, and Tim's recommendations at another date. That was what was sent. via email.
Well, I mean, I understand, I know what email you're talking about now. I understand the premise of that, but I think as stated in our ordinance here, there are a significant amount of public hearings we've heard, and I think there are some other items that are reasonable that can be included in the intermediate, which is what I sent to Andrew. So if you wish to entertain those, that would be great.
That would be great, yeah, if you have them, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I assume they would be incorporated, but a lot of, so let me step back here. I've said for many months that we need to take these concerns and to craft them with, now we've put together a committee and we've hired, but I don't know at what point, this is what I've sent Andrew. I don't know if it's in our packet. I know stated in here, I think undoubtedly after my thorough thesis of work here, that we have to have a road use agreement. I know we talk about thoroughfares, that's nothing. Counties require a road use agreement. We should be crafting a road use agreement just like we do with the coal mine. We have a very intense, that is not out of line. I have a lot of questions there that are basically for an attorney that Andrew cannot answer. Are we gonna go through these or not?
Yeah,
I mean,
if you'd like to. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So, as stated, there's line by line there. 152-262E. We've had a significant amount of questions about hazardous panels. In many of these agreements, I'm assuming it will state that they use panels that are non-hazardous, but I think we should include language that says the US EPA and their testing protocols, which are the TCLP. We've talked a lot under the next section about panels themselves and where they should and shouldn't go. I think we need to have a thorough discussion about those zoning districts in our county and where they should and shouldn't go. Again, that's probably outside of the scope of our attorney. If you look at a map of our county, how we're zoned, there's A1, A2. Do we need to differentiate which of those we use, which one or let me rephrase that, which ones are allowed and which ones are not? And there's guidance of that I think we need help on, but I think in the intermediate, we should add that there's a lot of concern about panels themselves, and I think that it is not too difficult and unreasonable to expect those to be made in the USA or other approved allied countries that we can list later. Hoosier Homestead Farms, should we put protections in for that? I think there's some roundtables we can have to learn more about our farm ground. I want a road use agreement no matter what. Many communities, and this is lesson learned to my own, I was involved in the first two projects only in this county, and that was Wheatland and Arivon. Arivon has set an excellent standard for community involvement. They have done an incredible amount of community benefits. We've seen them in our packets, hundreds of thousands of dollars directly to the fire department, the Blue Jean Center, and other places. I think that we should require a community benefit agreement with public reporting. Not an unreasonable task. Many of them do that after the fact already, but it would be nice if they showed that on a website. I think we need to talk to an attorney about that, about the revenue, any jobs, the resources used, any investments they make. You talked at the last meeting about wildlife. A lot of counties have that addressed. It is not unreasonable. It is very common. We've talked about water. I've done some research, and it's very reasonable to add, please add, that a wellhead study and an environmental assessment, standard stuff, but we make sure that the water and a lot of our ground all around is coal mine. We need to have that environmental assessment to make sure we have that on file and for the public to see and for ourselves to know. Next section, it mentions battery storage. I think that that's been a matter of fear and contention. I really believe there should be a separate plan for that. We don't require that plan. Again, not unreasonable to offer such a plan. TJ, you've addressed some of the next items. My other requirement was Knox County Soil and Water needs to approve the vegetation plan. That's been addressed. So decommissioning, there's been a lot of questions around that. I want that to be top of mind for the committee. I don't know which one of us will be on that committee, but I believe we use the word acceptable in this. I don't know what that means, but in here, the US EPA has a strict end-of-life regulation and disposal management, and do we need to adopt that language? The next item, which I think I've heard Tim mentioned, but again, Arivon has done a great job, lesson learned, and I think we should incorporate into our ordinance that, again, not unreasonable, that our response, all of our first responders, any of our responders, need to have some appropriate training, as well as any possible gear. I think that needs to be agreed upon permitting and addressed. We can go through all of these other items, but again, that's for an attorney. And the other item that I really want added, that again is not unreasonable, is employed by many developers, is we have talked about homes. I have all of my notes, and it's very clear that many people are concerned about their property values. There is no data from any, well, there is at Google, but from any state agency, from the IURC, IDEM, Purdue, DNR, the Indiana Office of Electric Energy Development, I'm sorry, you name it, and there's no good data on property value. There is nothing. So I've gotten a hold of several other ordinances, and I've found that there is a solar dividend program that is employed for homeowners within feet ranges. And it is in lieu of a property guarantee. So that is something that I have a copy of as a reference that I think must be included as well. And that hopefully can address some of those values when we can't address it with any other basis. I want to include higher local language in section 152265, standard. I mentioned a local community benefit agreement. I think there's many opportunities or many references, examples of that. It's very common to be employed. Agrivoltaics, we should absolutely 100% include. We want to see other form of ag development in these areas, specialty crops, grazing livestock. It's very common. There's a lot of information. I've done an incredible amount of work, and I don't see how we're just going to pass today a few things when some things are priority.
If we drag our feet on this area planning, these solar companies could come in and go under the old ordinance, which makes our changes here pointless, regardless of what we do. So my point is, I don't want to drag my feet and cost everybody out in the county at least 100 feet around their homes, and then come back and add this in ASAP. But we need to secure at least the 100-foot we've got, because area planning can drag their feet up to 45 days to get back with us. And I don't want to lose 100 feet because all the other stuff we're going to add in here, which I agree with. It needs to be in here and it needs to be addressed, but do we cost taxpayers and homeowners 100 feet due to how the government works?
I don't think like you, and I don't. I mean, that's your stance. That's fine. Not mine. And there's a lot more in here that obviously I look forward to discussing based upon what we've learned, how things change, smart development that we cannot stop. So, whatever you wish.
Well, what I thought we were going to do tonight, or this morning, I'm open. I'm open. If you guys want to continue down this road, that's fine. If you want to add this to the land use committee and make it all one and go through as one, I'm fine with that as well.
I'm not asking it to be one, I just want my additions.
Right.
While we work on my whole list of other things that are, again, I believe with this committee, we can find, many of our solutions, but however, and I'll be glad to go over the highlighted things, but if that's what you see fit, that's what you see fit, but if we're worried about all of these things and we're not dragging our feet, if we were dragging our feet, anyways, if we're worried about all of these things, I don't understand how we can just take two. But if that's what you two think is best, that's it is. I have these additions that I believe are reasonable. If we're that worried, we're just gonna, and let me be clear, and you all know, right, the process for permitting isn't just they're gonna go dig tomorrow.
Yep.
This is years. Okay.
And they would follow it, if this could take 6 months to 8 months to a year, they go under the old ordinance, which is not addressing the 880-some people that have signed a petition and we can't put a moratorium on solar right now due to the fact that there's an ordinance in place. There's all kinds of restrictions with that, but we can't put a moratorium in place with wind, lithium storage, and data, which I'm wanting to address here shortly. But we're gonna have to do this in small bites. If not, we lose ground, valuable ground, feet, inches for people's homes and their way of life. And I'm just not willing to do that, because government does not move fast. So I make a motion to approve this to area planning to get this back to us, their recommendations back to us as soon as possible, so we can at least gain everybody 100 feet. And then we make our changes, address our other concerns with the board
Yeah.
and land use recommendations.
So, Mr. Reader, I agree wholeheartedly with all of what you've just put in there. And I don't have that's what I thought we were gonna do, is bring our suggestions and move forward with the Energy Committee. That's where I thought that, right. I thought that was the direction we were going. And again, all of your points are extremely valid, and I think all of them need to absolutely be in the plan. But I think right now we need to just go ahead and move forward with what we have, and then come back with the committee and put it all together. As I said earlier, we don't have ordinances for wind. We don't have ordinances for battery storage. We don't have any of the other stuff. We don't have ordinances for that. We need to get that going now. So I am going to second that motion. We can at least gain the 100-foot for right now, and then we come back and put this through all the committee. I actually have on my notes here that we need to appoint one of us to that committee. I am very open to whomever wants to sit on that. If you'd like to be on that committee, that is fine by me, whomever.
I make a motion to appoint TJ Brink to the Land Use Committee.
Ow.
You're the president.
That's fine. So I will go ahead, and we got a motion on the floor. We'll do that motion in just a second, if we could. So I'll go ahead and second Tim's motion to put resolution I don't even know what resolution we're on anymore. Ordinance 2026-2. So we can refer this back to area plan tonight and get this going as quickly as possible. Further comment?
No, thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
No.
All opposed?
No.
2-1. Ms. Streeter, you had a motion. You want to throw that back on the table?
Yeah,
for your own
sure.
land use.
Under our agenda, we've created a land use committee. We now require an appointment. I appoint TJ Brink
Okay.
in that role.
Is there a second? Not gonna second it either? Wow. Do you wanna do it?
Nope. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kelly Streeter for this.
I'll do it. I'll do it. We're not doing it. I'll do it. That's fine. I'll second Kelly's motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Ordinance 2026-3, ordinance on food establishment. Let's see if this one can go a little bit better.
I'm sure everybody's here for this one. I can't see, health department here?
Health department's here. Hi, Doc. How are you? Good to
There
see
you
you.
go.
Come on up.
You wanna come up and give a
please.
briefing on this? There you go.
For the love of God, come on
I guess
up.
Tanner, your board president's here too, so I won't leave him out.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So the Indiana Food Code changed of April 2025. Our ordinance hasn't been updated for Knox County since, I think, 2004. So I've just kind of made it comply with the Indiana regulations. Some changes that I did add was recovery houses will now need to be inspected with their kitchens. If they have a 501c3, they will not pay a permit, but they will still have a step in the door for when they do like fundraisers that they're serving to the public and making sure that the food is safe for the residents staying in the facility. Another big change was, and a lot of times when you see my inspections, you'll see non-critical and critical. They've changed that to priority foundation and priority and core. So that just kind of gets confusing a little bit, but your priorities are basically your critical and your core is your non-critical. They just took away those terms now. So I'm just asking for this to be updated and passed.
I make that motion.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tara.
We'll have that for second and third reading at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 2026-4, moratorium on utility scale battery storage systems. That's you.
Data and wind, I'd like to add to that too,
Okay.
until we get this ordinance put in place, a revised ordinance to address all these concerns, because personally, I think we dropped the ball on this other ordinance, but that's just my opinion. So I'd like to put the moratorium and make a motion to put the moratoriums in place until we can get this ordinance amended and address everybody's concerns.
I'm of the same opinion I was at the last meeting. I don't feel that we need a moratorium. We are moving forward now with the Land Advisory Committee. They're gonna be competing with one another in time frame. If we get going on this Land Advisory Committee now, we won't need it. That's my opinion. Mr. Eater?
I mean, the law is the law, and we can only follow the law. I understand your intent. My first question is, these moratoriums you've brought forth, who wrote these?
I wrote the moratoriums.
Okay.
They were on like two months ago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Okay.
remember when they originally came
'Cause-
up.
Yeah, a while back.
Yeah, it was 2 months ago.
Okay, and did you charge us for these?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, I think a very public notion of letting developers know of a pause, especially on things that we don't have ordinances for. If people want to come here and do business, and our comprehensive set of plans isn't addressing them, to fall into our open, broad zoning rules would be terrible business, and permitting should never be allowed. So I think the process of us going through and writing ordinances as such just as we did 6 years ago, is very smart. Because once we place a moratorium, which by the way is completely regulated by law, there is a significant amount of other issues that I believe will incur. So an official moratorium puts a time clock on that I am not willing to put us under.
Okay. Let's get back up to Community Crossings Grant. Do you have your stuff ready?
Yeah, it looks like Milestone is the winner of the CCMG. And
Based upon lowest bid?
lowest bid. The E&B paving is the lowest bid on the local, due to the lowest bid.
Okay. Make a motion to approve both of those.
Were the bid bond documents in there? Did you see those, Chad?
Yeah.
Each of them, okay.
Yep, yep. It was me, everything was like right in there where it's supposed to be, so. You guys let me know, I'll get you paperwork.
Right. Pending legal review, make a motion to approve those two.
I'll
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Were you, yeah?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah.
Motion carries 3-0. Code compliance officer, we should have all received our code compliance officer information. I don't have anything for Ready 2.0 except for yesterday when I came to work, there were no walls at the Amazon facility. When I came back to the facility later that afternoon, there were walls. So they are moving quite rapidly. If you drive out by the industrial park, you will see the Amazon facility going up rapidly. Also, there are 3 of the apartment complexes on Beer House that are nearing completion. They're under roof. They're moving rapidly. That's all I have for that. Tim, Emergency Management Operations Center, talk to us.
Had a new development. Jail may not be our best option. The armory is potentially up for grabs, so that, we met out there last week. That's a 14,000 square foot plus building with all the other accommodations, parking lot, storage building, fenced in area, which if we could, once they get a assessed value on that, that would, to me, would be a very viable option for all the extra space we need for EOC, dispatch, and the coroner, plus many more other opportunities. But we gotta wait, I guess we're waiting for them to get the assessed value and other government.
Yeah, so the process, we, at this point in time, they have been told, in case anyone doesn't know, the National Guard Armory is moving out of Vincennes. Those operations will cease here and they're moving to another location. It has not been deemed yet if they're selling the building, but if they do sell the building, it goes through a process, a state process, and then it has to go through federal process as well, because it's a federal as well. So we're still a few months away from knowing exactly what's gonna happen with them. So we're just playing the waiting game with the state and federal government on that facility. But I agree, when we toured the facility, it had, you should have received the email with the floor plan on that. There are some updates that will absolutely have to be done, but for the most part, that looks to be an extremely good facility, possible facility to move into.
I just want to make comment. We have an entire schematic design of a building already that can be addressed to look at reduction. We've paid for it and we own the land. I want that to still be considered. Building new and polishing old are two completely different things. And please remember that we have an entire building designed, ready to be built.
Yep. Duly noted. All right. Public comment. Oh, sorry, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yes, yes. Weight limit restrictions on county roads. What are you feeling on the county restriction on the roads? Okay, so we can go ahead and lift those officially today. I make a motion to lift the restrictions on the county roads. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Claims. Have you all had an opportunity to read the claims?
I have.
Make a motion to pay claims as written.
A second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Make a motion to pay payroll.
A second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Julie, I appreciate that. Resolution 2020-2. If anyone would like to come to the mic up here, state your name, and then also whatever it is you'd like to talk about. It has to be germane to the agenda here today. Please note that this is public comment, not public discussion, and we're going to want you to please address us, not each other. We've been very civil throughout this, and we'd like to continue that, please. So if anyone would like to come to the mic and speak, now would be a great opportunity. Oh, hang on, Doc, hang on, Doc, hang on, Doc. Hey, Doc, oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know if this is what you want, but I'd like to remind everyone that Saturday morning, April 18th, from 8 to noon is a tire recycling project.
Yes.
We are partnering with commissioners, the street department, solid waste management district, and we'll be able to take all your tires that aren't commercial.
Yes, thank you for that reminder. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Tommy Meredith. You guys have seen me many times. We've been coming here for months. We're pleading to you for greater protections, greater security, and greater setbacks. You're sworn into office to protect all the people who live here, and that's all of them. You know, yet time and time again, you turn a blind eye to everyone who stands behind this coalition, who has stood up at this podium and said that they wanted stronger setbacks. You know, we keep hearing the 300 numbers be thrown around. We're comparing those to coal mines, and coal mines and solar farms are two totally different installations. You know, a coal mine typically, you know, consists of a shaft that goes down in the ground. You don't see much of it, and it may have a wash plant, right? These solar installations are covering thousands and thousands of our acres, right? They're gonna butt up against homes, so people are gonna lose their property values and everything. I'm grateful for the protections that you guys have recommended. I really appreciate that. The water, great deal. Fire protection, all that's great deal. But again, they're two totally different things. You know, a solar farm spans thousands of acres across the surface, across farmlands, across property lines, and communities like ours. You know, solar's moving in pretty quick. I've been going through all of the leases and everything, mapping all of them out, and there's a ton in this county. All it's gonna take is for a solar developer to come in here and pull those leases, and then we have our entire county covered. So I ask that we address that. You know, that's a big deal. A property cap in Knox County is definitely needed, so that way we don't take up all of our viable farm ground. When anyone in this room loses value on their property, and they will, if you hold to that 300 feet, you're at this table. I want you to remember that. Everyone in this room is voters, you know, and they're gonna remember what happens here. So I ask that you take into consideration stronger than 350 or 300 feet and move it to 750 feet. There's 880 people that have now signed the petition, and I'll get that turned into the auditor's office so that way you guys can take a look at that. But those are the 880 people that live here that have actually chosen to stand up, that's not intimidated by others to, you know, that they won't lose anything out of speaking up. So we ask you to take that into consideration, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. My name's Luann Lindsay, and I have been a resident of Knox County all my life. And of course, I'm here about the ordinance. which is the future blueprint for our backyards, our property values, and our children's safety. My home is on Highway 159, and it's slated to be bordered on two sides by industrial solar. My son's family is on Transformer Road, and my grandchildren, they're gonna be entirely surrounded on all four sides by industrial solar, now perhaps 300 feet on all sides of their home. When a home is walled in by high voltage infrastructure, it's no longer a country homestead. It's an industrial island. Our homes have already lost value with the prospect of industrial solar surrounding them. And this will pertain to many homeowners who probably don't even know it yet throughout the county. In addition to lower property values, this is a quality of life issue. The concerns of homeowners are real, and even those invested in industrial solar would not want these totally surrounding their homes. Knox County is currently one of the easiest counties in which to lease for industrial solar. Look around and you'll see that many of the surrounding counties have stricter requirements, particularly in reference to the setbacks. The company owning the lease in the area around our home, we've been told, is out of the country and is from South Korea. These companies are highly sophisticated. They don't need your protection. The families in Knox County do. We don't have to guess what a safe ordinance is like. There's many throughout the state that have gone farther than us. I've done a little bit of research, and Boone County is one that has a very good ordinance. They require 1,000 feet from residential property lines, not a meager 300. 300 setback is a corporate convenience. 1,000-foot setback would be resident protection. School buffers, this is something that I didn't hear today. In Boone County, they mandate 10,000-foot separation from public schools. Our current plan places industrial zones right next to North Knox High School. Why are our students less deserving of a safety buffer than those in other counties such as Boone County? And then I'm concerned about a lot of the things that have already been brought up, and I'm glad that there has been some concern expressed even by our commissioners. But you know, my main concern is the setback, of course, because that affects everything. I ask you to enact stronger ordinances that prioritizes the people who live here over the companies who lease. Please strengthen those setbacks and school buffers. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just giving you guys a visual of what I'm gonna talk about. Sure. There's one for each. Good morning, my name is Christina Spohr, and my husband Matt and I live at 8208 North Pine Bluff Road in Bicknell. I'm here regarding the proposed solar farm, more specifically Edwardsport Solar and Energy. I have provided you each with a visual map so you can see exactly what our home will look like. An island surrounded on three sides by an industrial park. Our house is the one with the green around it. Just 1 year ago, we stood out in front of that home for a family photo, and today we're fighting to keep it habitable. For 22 years, our family served this country as a Navy family. We were forced to say goodbye to our home every 3 years, a constant sacrifice of stability. In 2020, while Knox County was creating a weak ordinance, my family was spending 405 days apart for your freedom. Yesterday, we had a well-known realtor come to our home and do an appraisal. He said he would currently list our home at $549,900 as is.
When shown the visual that I have provided you, we were told to plan for a 45 to 50% decrease, and I have provided you guys that appraisal from him as well, and he has provided his contact information if you have questions. Again, who is going to be held responsible for our loss, because I can guarantee that landowner, Mr. Andy Piper, won't be losing money. Instead, he will be gaining off of our loss. Explain to me how that is protecting my rights as a property owner. My husband and I drove to another recently installed solar farm in the county this week to see what the standard looks like. What I saw there was rural compatibility, projects that respect the landscape and don't box people in. In those developments, homeowners still have an out. They aren't being swallowed. Our home is being treated differently. I could not find a single other residence in this area that is being caged in on 3 sides like an animal in a pen. All of the projects that are anticipated in the North Knox area are in residential areas. If other developers in other counties recognize that you cannot encompass a human being's home, why is Knox County allowing it? There is a line between progress and entrapment, and you are asking my family to live on the wrong side of it. Do you know that the only participating neighbor on the Edwardsport Solar and Energy project is the landowner himself who leased? I have my other neighbors here. None of us are participating in this. My husband and I are both government contractors for a local military base in vital roles, and we telework multiple days a week. Who's going to provide us a quiet place for that when they are working, putting in an industrial park on 3 sides of our home? Furthermore, my husband is a disabled veteran with extreme diagnosed tinnitus. The constant high pressure hums from solar inverters and the potential for a substation nearby would be physical triggers. You cannot compare the setback of a coal plant to solar. A coal plant is a single point of impact, while this is a distributed industrial park that will hem him in on 3 sides with noise that he cannot escape. Not only are you felling our community, but you're felling the veterans that sacrificed for this land. Updating this ordinance to require solar to be further from our homes would still give the farmer and the county an opportunity to profit, but it would finally respect our rights as homeowners. If you look at the map I provided, you will see a large open field behind our tree line that is already leased. Why can't the project boundaries be established to focus the project there instead of against our property line? A 200 or 300 foot setback is a failure. And do not tell us that vegetative screening will solve this. There is no realistic vegetation that can protect our privacy or view from structures reaching heights of 35 feet, which is what you also have wrote into the current ordinance. And please don't suggest we simply purchase the property around us, because we did approach that landowner last week and we offered him a significant amount for the property that surrounds our place, and his wife said, we don't give away our farmland. I'm not sure what they're doing then. I have 2 specific questions that I would like to be put on the record. Who is responsible for the depreciation of our $500,000 plus investment? If you allow this to proceed, I am asking that this county require a property value guarantee. If our property value declines because of this project, the solar company must be held responsible for that decrease and required to make up the difference to the homeowner. This is not a radical request. Delaware County recently updated its ordinance to include property value protections, and Jasper County requires these guarantees as part of their economic development agreements. If Knox County refuses to do the same, you're choosing to let industrial developers and the landowners profit at the direct expense of our home equity. When we bought this home, we faced intense flooding issues. We consulted with Frederick Boyd from the Highway Department as well as Richard Vermillion from the Knox County Surveyor. And we were told that we could only speed up the flow, not change the natural current. And we have that email communication from that conversation as well. We took that advice and invested more of our own money into the property to fix those drainage issues. Now you're proposing to install thousands of steel posts and disturb the soil on 3 sides of our property, which will change the drainage flow. Who is responsible for the damage when our home floods because you allowed the natural current to be disrupted? I believe in property rights, but more importantly, I believe in being a good neighbor. Right now, our county and these energy consultants are failing at this. For the new ordinance, I am requesting a minimum setback of 750 feet for all excuse me, non-participating residents, and 1,000 feet for inverters. For residents with proven medical disabilities in schools, a setback of 2,500 feet. Property value guarantee that will hold the solar company responsible, and vegetation fencing, which would require lowering the height restriction from 35 feet, and restrictions that would only allow solar to be placed on 2 sides of our home. In 2020, Knox County screwed up by not making the ordinance stronger, and now that these solar companies are coming in like vultures, you're afraid to make a harsher ordinance because you're terrified of being sued. That isn't the people's problem, that's your problem. Sorry, trying to not get emotional up here. I'm originally from Odin, Davis County, as you know. They recently stood up for their people and did a 2,500-foot setback, even after farmers had signed leases, because they aren't afraid to stand up for their community. You're protecting approximately 40 farmers who have leased versus the other 36,000 taxpayers. In case you don't know, that's 0.12%. The numbers alone make it obvious that our families will suffer at their profits. Ms. Streeter, I just heard you say that it would be bad business to halt new work. You clearly care more for the revenue than you do the people. Thank you for making that very clear. I am not a person who will stand by you and allow you to prey on my family. I am asking you to protect us with the same ferocity that my husband protected your freedom for 22 years. Do not choose the industrial revenue over the people who actually live and work here.
Hello, thank you. I am Daniel Lindsay. My family lives in the North Knox community. You just heard from my mother a couple speakers ago. We live on Transformer Road, and we learned that we are going to be surrounded by the homes for the leased solar development. As it stands now, they will be 300 feet from our house on 2 sides and 300 feet on the other 2 sides. So we'll be surrounded by those. So I want to focus on the setbacks. I appreciate the comments made today on things that you're looking at to improve our current ordinance, but I still think that we need to focus on those setbacks. So my family is asking for a minimum of 1,000 foot between industrial scale solar facilities and any home. I don't think it's unreasonable. I think it's a necessary request. First, for us, our safety concerns. There's going to be large heavy equipment, construction, high voltage lines, transformers, substations, and in many cases, battery storage systems. And we want to keep those away from our kids and our family. There have been incidents in other states where fires have burned for days and released gases from those transformers. And even recently in, I think it was Jasper County, storm damage have sent solar debris off the property on the nearby properties. So we're living so close to those 300 feet, that debris can't come onto our property. Second, as mentioned before, the property values. I sent you all this week a Purdue Extension report that was collaborated with Ball State University that said homes within a half mile will experience a decline in property value. Another study from Virginia Tech find 5% decline within 3-mile radius. So from those 2 studies, closer to the solar field, you are higher likely to have decrease in property value. These are not opinions, they're documented impacts. So 1,000 foot would help protect families from those severe losses. There's also quality of life. There's going to be noises, constant visual intrusions, and industrialization of what's already been rural residential area, and 1,000 foot will preserve the character of our community. So there's only going to be a small number of families that are going to be impacted as much as I am. 4 sides, not just 2 and 3, all 4 sides are going to be surrounded by these solar farms that they do go through. So we're just asking for that additional few hundred feet. So I think 1,000 foot is a fair compromise. It's less than those studies from Ball State that I sent you, where it says a half mile will be impacted. So 1,000 feet is half of that. So, and that's what we're asking. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Elliott. I reside at 9560 State Route 159 North in Bicknell. and I am a non-participating homeowner with respect to the proposed Freelandville solar energy project. I recommend that this Board of Commissioners postpone final action on the any proposed project and implementing the 2026 Solar Energy Systems Ordinance until the public has time to properly comment on the recent APC recommendations. I also propose that this body appoint a citizens group to benchmark other counties to learn from their experience with solar projects. This group could present their findings to the commissioners for their consideration. This could be done in 60 days or less. Some points I would like to make concerning the proposed Northern Knox County solar projects, as well as comments on the 2020 ordinance. First, solar energy systems is not in any way agricultural. It is not farming crops, nor is it raising livestock. Yes, everyone has the right to use their land in any manner they choose within the bounds of law. Also, this governing body must equally take into account those citizens affected by the actions of landowners. Some have said you can't make too many changes to the 2020 ordinance or the county could be sued. Your attorney will tell you that anyone can sue anyone at any time for whatever they want. Your legal advisor is responsible to notify you if the actions of the board violate local, state, or federal law. Otherwise, this board has the power to create legal zoning requirements. You are the law on this ordinance. The 2020 ordinance has numerous sections that should be modified beyond the APC recommendations and would not prohibit solar energy systems. I understand that these solar electrical installations support our electrical grid and if done properly are positive additions. Samsung America may be a company that will do the right thing, but based on some solar projects I have seen, others don't. And the ordinance you are reviewing is our only protection in preventing unscrupulous entities from taking advantage of our county and its citizens. I also recognize the county will receive substantial tax revenue from the projects, but you must guard against that benefit affecting your decision. Knox County citizens come first. I have several suggestions on the 2020 ordinance, as well as questions on responsible parties for implementation of the ordinance, but time doesn't allow me to cover those. But the setbacks are inadequate. Who will enforce the ordinance? The height of the panels, the site plan approval, and lack of adjacent property owner notifications are just a few. I will conclude by saying the impact of this project is greatest on the non-participating homeowners, and they should be considered equally as the landowners who benefit the most. We put our trust in you, the county commissioners, to objectively weigh all facts and make a decision which is going to best serve all Knox Countyans. With the aggressive push for these solar energy systems, your legacy as commissioners will rest on the decisions you make. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning. My name's Kathy Elliott, and I reside at 9560 North State Road, 159 Bicknell. I'm not against solar energy, but I'm against a renewable energy growth ordinance that is weak. I was raised on a farm. Both my grandparents farmed, my father and uncles, agriculture, dairy, livestock, so I know what it's like as a farm landowner. And still to this day, my brother and a few cousins are still involved in farming. So I see their, I guess, to reach out for prosperity, the frustration. But I live in the country for a reason. fresh air, open land, the bugs, or to smell the ammonia and the manure. Okay? So if you want to call it living in the sticks, it's there for a reason. But with these setbacks at 300 feet, at least if you would go 650, 1,000, that allows that non-participant person in the country to feel like you're still in the country. You have that open area, that open space to choose to do that. Setbacks also from the roadway. 50 feet, is that sufficient enough to back up as far as blocking visibility, oncoming traffic, pulling out into the road, off a country road, or out of a driveway? Setbacks in the schools. I know several participants have mentioned the schools. North Knox being surrounded by it. You have campus at South Knox, Vincennes, Lincoln, middle school and high school. There's gonna be farmland. This sets precedents for the future. It seems like each project, the Wheatland on the mine land, it started as a handful of homes affected. And then the next project went to triple that. And then I think recently, then there was another project at, 75 homes, and those homes were within 500 feet of the other project. So where's it gonna stop? And I mentioned the North Knox area, the school. There are several people that come for school graduations, academic events, drama, musicals. That doesn't include your 7 through 12 sporting events. Other facilities use the school. The FCA, Field of Faith. So there's people traveling to that, and what are they looking at in our North Knox area? It's not the farmland, and then that doesn't include then the children that are there. So maybe setbacks from schools, churches, because there's a neighboring church in Fernandville that has a preschool. So I think those setbacks need to be mentioned as far as school property, because all the athletic fields that surround it, you can't go by the dwelling, looking at that. So I think having the setbacks gives that person, increasing, you have that feeling of being in the country. A couple other things, consider the maintenance of roads. Recently now, Miller Road, Transformer Road, Hamelman Road, and Bucktall Road. It's nice, easy to travel, ride a bike, you're not dodging potholes. So what's the maintenance in the project? Is maintaining, putting gravel on it, chip and seal? No, I think there needs to be something to designate, we want those roads to remain maintained as they currently are at the start of a project. Again, back to North Knox, the declining enrollment. They're right now maybe 1,200 students. They're 4th or 5th at the bottom of 2A in the sports classification. That's grades 9 through 12. Having several solar facilities in the area, is that going to entice families moving in to North Knox area, whether it's Oaktown, Eversport, Sanborn, Bicknell, Bruceville? It's certainly not going to allow sale of land to build a new home for families to come in. Okay. And as many of them say, you have a difficult position, but look at the non-participant landowners as the landowners that have signed leases. I know farm business, it's their business, but then you also need to consider where is that line. So I urge you to do the job, do it right, but ask yourself, would you want these around your home, or how close to your home? And if your children, young or grandchildren, what they're growing up for. So I appreciate it, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Gilmore, Monroe City, and I want you to see this picture. This is all along the fences at the Wheatland solar fields. And do you want this danger 300 feet from your foundation of your home? This is, if a ball goes in there, if a car runs into it, it's high voltage. And this is posted all along the whole solar farm, the fences. You keep saying that, oh, you're gonna hide that with trees and different things. Well, then, who sees the signs? And 300 feet from our foundations, you want to put something this dangerous next to us? 800 plus people have begged you. We put you in those positions. We have begged you to listen to us. I know the landowners have their rights, but the homeowners should have theirs. You are a Christian, we are a Christian county, and we start every meeting here with a prayer, and one of our commandments is love thy neighbor as thyself. And so will you please think about that? 300 feet is not enough. And I'd like to give you this picture while you are deciding what you're going to do with our lives, our properties, and it's our community that we feel like is being sold down the river for a few people to make money. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioners, Eddie Felling, Farnsworth, and Woodkey. Here once again to issue the three of you a warning. If you could step into any energy developer or AI developer's office today, they'd have a map of the United States with several targets on it, and I guarantee you the biggest one is the state of Indiana on that map, and the center of the bullseye is West Central Indiana. And the primary reason is because our property is cheap, and for the most part, it's the Wild West with regard to zoning. Prime example, I haven't heard it brought up yet today, but just yesterday, your neighbors to the north in Sullivan County heard about a $65 billion development. $65 billion. And the public came out, asked the commissioners, well, what's going on with this? What are we getting out of this? What are you doing to help protect us? And the answer from the commissioners were, nothing, it's a private deal. We don't have any zoning. That means no economic development agreements, no road use agreements, no setbacks, no environmental studies. And unfortunately, while I will commend you for doing a good job with setting up the new committee to look at the changes to the zoning ordinance, you've left open the exact same door for data centers today by not passing a moratorium. So I ask one thing of you and one thing only, that you move as quickly as possible to get the changes that you direly need in your zoning ordinance. And you need to start with creating a separate zoning classification for these developments, because that's the only way you as commissioners are gonna have control over what happens in your county. So please move quickly, because they will move just as fast. They've got a lot of money, folks, a lot. And you're gonna miss out, and the people that are gonna get punished are the people behind me. Thank you.
I'm from Monroe City. I hadn't planned on speaking, but I just have a couple of things. When you're talking about the new Energy Land Use Advisory Committee you were forming, one thing you said they were going to check into was the negative impact. Well, one big negative impact is no one is going to want to come into this county and build new homes, buy existing homes, when the solar industry is going to be surrounding them. Knox County, especially South Knox area, was always prime property. People wanted to live there. They paid above the price for the homes in that area because they wanted to live in that area. That will no longer be the case. And for the rest of our lifetimes, the landscape of Knox County is going to be changed. And that's going to be on all of us because we allowed it.
So I think now is the time. You gotta do something, or we will never look the same. We will never be a place that people want to come and visit or live. And one other thing I wanted to touch on is I keep hearing the farmers that have leased. Most of them are not farmers. They're landowners that a lot of them inherited the ground. They don't live in this area. They will not be living by these solar panels. There's people who do live in the area, but not in the area that they have leased. So they won't be surrounded by the solar panels. Most farmers are farmers and they love their ground and they're not gonna sell out. So I'd like to have the word farmers change to landowners in most of our conversation. Thank you.
I wasn't gonna speak, but I'm a import. I married a North Knox resident. His family was a small dairy farm. We inherited that. He took over farming 15 years ago. We're called a hobby farmer because we're small. All four sides of us will be covered. Where is our protection for our land that we farm when you're taking off the topsoils, putting these pylons in? Who's gonna protect the waterways that run? We have 3 creeks, little streams that run through us. That comes off the farmer that has leased all this ground. We need protections. My family needs protections. He wanted to pass this on to his kids. Are we gonna have anything to pass on? Please protect our property values. Please protect our children. 300 feet's not enough. 1,000 feet. But what upsets me the most is we have a coal mine north of town not being used. Why couldn't it have gone there? We didn't even know this was happening until 2 weeks ago. We have no time to think or even accept. We inherited the ground. We built this beautiful home, our dream home, for our family, for our grandkids, for our children. And now I feel like, what was it for? I beg you and I ask you, please put some consideration into these people. All of us here just want to be safe and live in our country community. And I know this sounds petty, but I put big, beautiful windows because my first home had no windows. I have sunlight. Now I'm gonna have flashlight all night, every day, and coming into my home. It's sad. Think about the small farmers. We are literally going to be surrounded, and my husband, we don't know what that crop's gonna be, and we're barely paying the bills every year. But it's what he loves. And now I feel like we may have to give it up because we don't know if our runoff from these solar fields, because it's so compacted, the water's just gonna wash our crops away. Just think about that when you're making your decisions. I appreciate you making the committee. I appreciate you listening to all of us, but please consider that.
Thank you.
My name's Kristen Arnold. Sorry, I knew I was gonna cry. So many of us have worked so hard to have what we have. We sold our first home. We have 3 kids. I had a 6-month-old. We sold our home. We moved to 40 acres. And there was a single wide trailer on it, and we lived in that for 5 or 6 years while my husband built our home. We didn't hire contractors. We had a couple people that come in and did some stuff, but my husband spent every night coming home after a long day and working to build our home. He wanted big windows. That made me think of the window. My husband wanted these big windows. I don't care, you're building it, go for it, buddy. Now, what we thought was the worst case scenario was gonna be solar panels that we were gonna get to now look at out our front, sitting in our living room. And now we find out that there's an option to purchase on the land that's in front of us. And more than likely, we're gonna have a substation right in front of our house. substations. I don't know if you've driven out and seen the substation that's out at Wheatland, and we went out there at night to see what it looked like. You can hear it. It's got 24 fans that run, lights that are as big, if you look around at night, as big as the football field, that will light up that far. So it's easily gonna be right up in front of our house, the lighting of it. This is all night. I don't know where they're gonna put it. I'm assuming it's gonna be dependent on what's in the ground. Our area floods. We are on Miller Road. The transmission line runs right through there, so it's the start of it. My son was in a kayak right almost up to our driveway in the field out in front of us last year because all of it backed up from the river and from the ditch. All of the field over there that they're leasing, all of that, it all floods. I mean, we live on an old strip mine, and we have 2 ponds that are right up in the front, and it can back up into that. So what happens when there's a storm like there was up at Westfield, I think it was in Indiana, and all of those go flying around and they land in our pond? You know, they say they're fine, you know, it's no big deal, but who's responsible if our water is damaged, if we have chemicals from these things? And there's so many things. Everybody has mentioned so many things. There is so many factors. We don't have long-term studies on most of this. We just hear from the solar people that how great it is. My husband's a lineman. He's a transmission lineman, been a lineman for almost 20 years now. If you want to know what solar does and how much it's pumping out, you can get on the MISO app. He can tell you how to look on that and see how much you're getting out of solar. Everybody that seems to be pumping solar and how great it is getting a check from it, or they're somehow financially to gain for this. So the county is set to gain money from it, obviously. What about all of us homeowners that are gonna lose value on our homes? What about all the people who sell seed to these farmers who aren't gonna be selling that seed anymore I think once we've got, 2 that we see maps of. There's another one coming in at Ragsdale that's larger than, it's the size of the 2 just in our area. So that's a significant amount. I mean, you know, out at Wheatland, there's very few people that are affected by this. And like everybody has said, this changes our entire landscape. And the solar developer for the one at Edwardsport said, if everything goes well, this is gonna be more than 30 years. They're just gonna keep going. So to think that eventually, maybe our kids in their lifetime, that they will get to see these grounds come back to farm ground, not if they have their way. We have changed the entire look of what our North Knox area will look like. People are moving. There's already people talking about moving. I moved all the time when I was a kid. I lived in 11 different homes by the time I was in 5th grade, and we settled in Edwardsport, and I got married, and the one thing I wanted for my kids was they can stay in one place. We want people coming to this area. Who can stand there and look at us and say, somehow your property value might gain by having solar around you? It's just laughable. I mean, anybody, and I've had people tell us that. I mean, people have said that our property value, that is ridiculous. I am a simple, common person. I have very little education past high school. I do hair, for crying out loud. I mean, but I have basic common sense. Come on. We are not stupid. We are losing value on our properties, but we aren't concerned about all the people all the money that's gonna be pulled from our county because we keep saying, well, the county's gonna get X amount of dollars. We need to think about everybody. There is a small percentage of people that have leased their grounds, and that's fine, that's their grounds and that's their choice. But when it's our tax dollars, we certainly can have a say in it and care about where that money's going. So I hope that you will listen to everybody and understand that there's people that are very much affected, and I don't think we want people moving out of the county, but I mean, as it sits, you're gonna probably see a lot of people moving, unfortunately. Thank you.
It's not public question and answer.
Okay. No, I will get to that, thank you. My name's Matt Palmeyer.
You address us, not
Okay.
the audience, please.
He paused. He called me first, that's fine. My name's Matt Palmeyer, I live on 14574 North State Road 59, Sanborn, Indiana. lifelong resident. I actually have, legit had a couple questions. Do these solar projects require area plan approval? And will there be neighboring landowner notifications for public hearings before permits are issued?
I believe that is the process.
So, if that's the case, then what happens if they have these, we get them, we go to the meetings, and in those meetings, it is an overwhelming number of the neighbors that are non-participating that say, no, I don't want them. What is done with that info? What is done with that response? It was stated to me at one that it's taken into consideration. Well, that's about as much of a slap in the face as there can be, because I have went through my fair share of area plan and permitting approvals. Had to get one to put a grain bin in. If ever, I'm assuming that if all the landowners around that got certified mail got presented that and they said, hey, we don't want a grain bin, although it's already at my site, I've already had grain bins at that site, then they say no. Well, then I can't put my grain bin up. I purchased a piece of property from my grandmother. It was in town, put in a double wide. I had to send out the same certified mail to do all that stuff. If the landowners would have said no, am I stuck not being able to do what I want, put a house in? Again, the house that I live at now, it was part of a 90-acre parcel. In order to section that out, because I bought just the house from the neighbor, if I'd have bought less than 3 acres, we had to do the whole thing in, just to section out, so the landowner could sell me the house. He said, I don't want to go through that baloney. We're gonna just sell you the 3 acres. Now, why would that matter for anybody? This is a completely different situation. This is people's lives. I mean, this is essentially the stuff that we look at time in, time out. We raise there, and if our complaints are not taken into consideration and actually implemented, consideration's nothing. You can say that and I'll consider it, oh, okay, we're gonna do what we want anyways. That's not right. I agree, I think landowners should be able to do things they wanna do with their property within reason. And putting 2 rows of trees staggered is about as much of a joke, because what size trees are you gonna put in? It takes a lot of money to put in big enough trees to hide that view. And I'm a fairly young guy, but I'm gonna say most of them, by the time it completely does away with the view and having to look at that solar field, I'm probably not gonna be around, to tell you the truth. So I think some of this stuff is just kind of comical. And as far as there's been some comments, whether we're gonna do tax abatements or we're not gonna do tax abatements, the tax rate increases on those property up to $22,000. And in one of my conversations was, well, that property tax has never been up for abatement. The personal property tax has. Well, as a private business owner and a farmer, I pay personal property tax every year on all my equipment. So why should they get subsidized? Why should they get an abatement for that kind of stuff or any work they do? Because we flat said during Duke Energy's build, when they got a multitude of tax abatements that I still hear complaints on, there's discussion on turning around and doing the same thing here. So we're just doing this revolving door thing. Let's bring business in, but not take care of those that sustain us all day, every day throughout the year. And there's been comments about the solar ordinance, and we've got to kind of keep it somewhat in line with coal and gas. We just can't go an overstretch of what the coal and gas has already done. Well, we can. Because I think you can look back at every single person through history that said the coal wasn't, we wish we'd have done things different. Well, now is our time to do things different. Let's change it to benefit the landowners and the public and not just a very limited few. And one thing that was common today that I hadn't really thought much of with the battery storage, you've got, anytime you charge your phone or any electronic device, charge and discharge it, what's that device do? It gets hot. Well, you're doing this on a massive scale, not to mention the solar panels are black. What's that gonna do to our climate and our environment around here whenever you're transmitting that much heat day in, day out? And you're doing that to the #1 industry in the county, and it's not even close. I mean, Knox County ranks, what, in the top 5 for all produce? I think maybe it's watermelons or in the state. I mean, in the country. Well, it doesn't take much, and that's just one tiny bit of our ag economy in the county, and I think we need to really look long and hard at expanding this, and I think putting a hold on any added wind and data center stuff, all that's gotta be stopped. There's not even, I mean, solar's bad enough. These data centers, that's a whole nother ballgame. And I'm hoping it's not too late for some of that, because some stuff that I'm seeing in the county is looking pretty close. So, I just think that we need to put as much of a stop to a lot of this stuff as we can, and really consider and listen to all the voices that are saying, we don't like this. It's a numbers game. You've got a lot of people saying no, and you've just got a few landowners saying, yeah, we want it, and I think it's who's to benefit in the grand scheme of things. That's all.
Good morning. I think it's still morning, isn't it?
Not anymore.
Oh, gosh, darn it.
Good afternoon.
My name's Dan Gettelfinger. I want to thank you for your time and attention here today. And I have one question, and what is the current permitting or approval status for the solar field that's being developed close to the North Knox High School? And if you guys don't know, how would I find that out? And what's the timetable? What I'm trying to get at is, will they be grandfathered in from what the action you've taken here today? Will that even apply to them? I mean, anybody care to comment on that? I really don't know.
I will go ahead, because that is a great question. So, they have not applied for anything yet.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right, thank you.
Once they apply, that's when they go on whichever it is, whichever ordinance it is. That's why we wanted to pass the 300 today, to at least get that done.
And when they do apply, will the adjacent property owners get notice of the application?
That's a area plan.
Oh, that's area plan, all right.
That's area plan.
And then, all right, thank you. I've got one suggestion. I know it takes a lot of time to craft a new zoning ordinance. And it takes a lot of input, but there's a really good zoning ordinance in effect in Posey County that protects its citizens very well. And why don't you just do a repeal and replace, and and just change Posey to Knox, and and that way you can get it out there, give your notice requirements just as quick as you can, and get it approved. It requires, they have requirements for bonding, general liability insurance for personal injury, contamination. They also require them to have a 24-hour phone number where they can contact them. They prohibit battery storage for solar and wind, among other things. I don't know if you've looked at the Posey County ordinance, but I think it would be worth your consideration. And you could do it pretty quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, everybody. My name is Mitch Meek, resident of Knox County since getting out of the service in 2018. Not directing this necessarily towards our local politicians, but all I see is politicians and big corporations in a new Cold War with China to get the upper hand on AI and energy. As history has it, the U.S. essentially bankrupted the USSR, and after reading some sources, I found out that China has the upper hand on the U.S. in solar and almost in AI. History repeats itself. I know a lot of people here are against data center installations being built here. However, what will help power those data centers? Solar will. If some are for solar but not data centers, I feel they're only feeding a beast that they don't want. Secondly, over 800 people in Knox County have signed a petition for safe solar that our politicians hopefully aren't ignoring. What I've studied, Knox County is a test dummy for the rest of the counties in Indiana. Other counties are looking at what we're doing and improving setbacks and other things because people are seeing what Knox County is lacking in ordinances. The residents of Knox County are worried about their property values, well water because of what coal mines have already done, decommissioning, and if a company folds, who will pay the bonds if not inflation adjusted, heat pockets, battery storage fires, and the fact our fire departments have not been trained for the occasions of a battery storage fire. I could keep going on about our worries because the politicians, corporations have not been entirely transparent. But I have noticed it seems like more information is getting out, more people are understanding what all's going on, and that's great. And after what you guys have said, I think there's transparency, and I appreciate that. Most of us aren't against solar or renewable energy. We just want everything and everyone to be safe. I mean, there was a local politician that claimed we're neighbors against neighbors. I don't entirely believe that. There's things that I agree with for those that are for solar. Ray, you made some good points.
Please.
Yes, sir. Sorry. There's people in this crowd that are for and against. I've talked to some that are for it. They've made very good points. I understand both sides of the aisle here. And I would gladly invite any of my neighbors to sit at my table to break bread. Personally, I don't trust big corporations and politicians after my time in service. And seeing the mistrust between some things only solidifies that disdain. I was in charge of my unit's hazmat overseas, and seeing a lack of transparency in safety data sheets and other issues makes me question if we are truly ready for industrial-sized solar farms or not. When I say I don't trust corporations, I looked into who owns Arevon, Airvon. Some of the scandals involved will make you perk your ears up. On a personal level of how I will be affected is where I can hunt. My family has acreage near Freelandville, and that property will butt up right against where some of the ground I hunt is. Wildlife will be displaced and potentially make my way of life as a hunter harder. I use wild game as a supplemental way to feed my family. Why use solar when nuclear is a smaller footprint and powers more effectively and efficiently? And I know that there's concerns behind all that too. Facilities for nuclear can be built as such to withstand natural disasters where we have proof in northern Indiana of what a tornado can do to a solar installation. Another concern is how some farmland turned solar will never be able to be used again for crops such as potatoes. That's a proven fact. Companies won't accept potatoes grown on soil that held a solar installation due to the possibility of a potato enveloping toxins or shards of glass. Who would want that lawsuit from a customer that consumed a product like that? Those are just some of the things the people of Knox County want answers to. We want the betterment and safety and well-being of our neighbors and our community. To me, 300 foot is not enough of a setback. On top of, for instance, Freelandville. Freelandville has taken a beating from the blasting of the coal mines. That's evident. There's buildings that no longer exist there. And you look into all the pile driving that's gonna happen with that solar, it's really close to Freelandville. That's a lot of vibration happening in that ground. You may not be able to feel it, but it does conduct. And that just worries me for the rest of that town that somehow is still standing. I just want that to be kept in consideration as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again. Brian Myers, Harrison Township landowner, solar supporter. I want to thank you guys for the 6 months of ability to have inputs, including a public meeting where many of us chose to speak and others chose to wait till later for some reason. So we thank you for giving those public forums to do that when we should. The only thing I want to correct, and the audience won't listen, so I'm going to correct it to make sure you guys understand that, you know, the statement about landowners and versus farmers, I take a lot of issue with that. I know several of the people that have signed up. Fine, people know, it's all been said. I don't live here anymore. But don't tell me that I don't have a connection to that land, that I didn't toil on it with my father who passed away from cancer in '97. You know, these people act like we're just a bunch of money-hungry people coming in just to take everything we can out of this land. My sister and I would never do anything to destroy this land. And as we can see, no comments from us during their speaking, but comments from them. They want to talk about the Christianity and what they do. Go read Facebook. I'm not on it for a reason, because I can't stand to listen to it. But to come up here and say that some of these people are not farmers and they didn't work their whole lives, you know, you saw the article in the paper from the Divines, and I hate to even say their name because people want to attack everybody that gives their name. They worked their butts off their whole life on that farm. And in their retirement, they're not allowed to make another decision that could help them or help their children or future generations. It's not right, and we know you've got to weigh a lot of decisions, and I don't disagree with everything that's been said. People will think I do, but I don't. But, you know, to make those kind of categorizations about us is wrong, and I want to make sure you guys understand the truth. Thank you.
Please, let's be respectful. Let's be respectful of one another and our opinions.
Hi, I'm Charlene Grove. My husband Tim's at work today, so I couldn't be here. We live on 159, a mile south of North Knox High School. I lived on a farm my whole life. We bought an old farmhouse built in the late 1800s because of our countryside view. I wasn't going to speak until the last gentleman spoke. I want to say, maybe you're a landowner, maybe you farmed, but are you living where this is going to affect you? Because I am. I've been told to get my house appraised. I've been told I need to get blackout curtains because I have all four sides of my house will be surrounded. I've been told to take pictures of my foundation, of my new windows, and I've been told to take pictures of my drywall. Who's going to pay for that damage when they drive into the ground all around my house that was built in the 1800s? My insurance? My Farm Bureau insurance? I wasn't going to speak because I knew I was going to be angry. There's not enough screening to put up, enough bushes to put up to protect my view. I have lived in that area my entire life. I was raised in Freelandville. My dad was raised in Freelandville. My dad died farming on a tractor feeding cattle. Yeah, it's personal. It hurts. And I hope that you will look past all the funding that you're going to receive and think about our school. Think about our community. Because I've been told over and over that we have one of the prettiest countryside views. But I better take pictures because it's going to be all over because of greed. Because the people around me that are leasing aren't living with it on their land. They might own the land. Their houses are not where they're being affected. Thank you.
I'm Cheryl McCormick and live about 8 miles south of Vincennes. I've lived in Knox County my entire life. My husband and I scrimped and worked and passed up family vacations and didn't do a lot of things that other people do because we had to pay for the farmland that we were buying. I get kind of tired of hearing people talk about not wanting things to change because I've seen changes that are not related to solar development. over the years, you see extreme high temperatures marked every month compared to last year, compared to 10 years ago. It's not a theory that our climate is changing. It's not a theory that we may not have the same vegetation here in 20 years that we have had for 50 years because our climate is changing, and it's changing due to burning fossil fuels. I've heard so many people talk about why they moved here to this area for the fresh air. I did a quick Google search. Indiana has the 11th worst air quality in the nation due to burning coal. I hear people complain about the flooding, and flooding is an issue. A lot of the flooding that's taking place now, the water runoff, is because farmers are cutting down all the trees, dredging all the ditches, and all that water's running off of agricultural land into the ditches and running into people's basements. So the land under solar panels will not be tilled. Whatever grows under those solar panels will be enriching that soil, will be holding that soil into place, will not be adding to the problem of flooding. If anything, it will reduce water runoff. And as far as safety, people are concerned about the safety of their kids and their grandkids with solar panels near their house. I guess they're totally unaware of the toxic chemicals that are being used by farmers all the time. Parkinson's disease is something like 50 times more common in farmers than in other occupations, because farming is a hazardous job, and farming involves a lot of hazardous materials, and I don't hear anybody mention anything about worried about that getting into their water. So I just felt that I had to have my say. Things are changing, and we put in our solar array at our farm not to make money. It's going to cost us in the long run. We did it as an environmental statement because we know that that's the way to the future. And our solar array is, what, 150 feet from our house? I don't notice it. I don't hear it. It doesn't warm the area up. I know it's not industrial scale, but I understand that solar panels are made to not to reflect the sun, but to collect it and to make energy from that. So I don't believe that solar panels are going to cause a lot of glare, because they're actually absorbing that heat. And as a last note, because of all the talk about, how hazardous solar development can be, Ray and I jumped at the chance when we were invited to tour the facility in Indianapolis, Bela, where they are manufacturing solar panels right now. I was jokingly going to say, well, I thought I was going to get to wear a hard hat at least, in this facility. What I take away from that is that I didn't see anyone in that factory where they're making the solar panels. They're handling the materials that are going into these materials. There's no personal protective equipment. There are no respirators. There's nothing to protect them from lead or heavy metals or whatever people are saying are going to solar panels. It looks to me like a place where they might be making pharmaceuticals, because it's very clean and doesn't appear that there's a lot of hazard there. So I just wanted to have my say. Thank you.
Ray McCormick, local farmer, conservationist, leasing to solar, a believer in renewable energy. I want to thank you for creating a land use advisory committee. That's a wise decision. I took land use planning as a graduate course in college. All communities need to look to the future and make wise, unbiased decisions on the land use in their area. So I commend you. That is a wise move. Kelly brings up a lot of good points, and those ought to be considered. And some of the things I don't really agree with, but they need to be looked at, whether it's value of homes, agrivoltaics, all these different nuances that come with solar farms. You mentioned agrivoltaics. We've already met with melon growers in the area, and they're excited at the chance to grow produce under solar panels. They said they'll grow better produce in a shaded environment of solar panels. And this isn't something new. This is being done all over the world. Matter of fact, in 2025, the most energy produced in the world was renewable energy. So a lot of countries have accepted this, embraced this, and we don't want to fall behind. So I commend you for creating this panel to look at all of these various issues that they're bringing up and that Kelly brought up. A couple things that have been said. When I ran for Congress in 2022, the district was 21 counties, 21 counties in southwestern Indiana. Every single town and city was losing population. Every single one. Look at Decker, look at Fridgton, look at Freelandville. There's a collapse of our rural communities. People aren't going to want to move to where there's not fire protection, there's not any wealth in these communities. They're going to move away, and that is a major problem for us in rural America, is the brain drain of the best that graduate from our high schools and our universities. They move away from here. We want progress, we want commerce, we want it so people go, that's a good place to live. They got nice stuff there. They got nice schools, they got nice streets and everything that come from the revenue. Not just counting the revenue that will come to the landowners and farmers. They're opposing an increase in income and revenue from our population in the county. That gets distributed around and around throughout the community. So I'm advocating that we are in a great spot. If you look at maps where solar is the best in the United States, it is in the central Midwest. And because we have 5 coal-fired power plants, you must have capacity on the grid to put in renewable energy. You can't just put it over here, over here. You have to have capacity on our grid. And our grid system is really in trouble. So there's not much capacity here and there because it's overwhelmed at this point. But because of our grid system that's here, because of these coal-fired power plants, is why they're coming here. Great location for solar and good capacity on the grid. Now people look at me and they stick their finger at me and they shoot my signs and all this. You know, I'm not doing this for the money. I've all my life worked for conservation. And about 5 years ago, we had a dinner at Vincennes University where Alcoa was there, Toyota was there, and Purdue University was there. Alcoa talked about recycling of aluminum, how fast aluminum can get back to them and back out. Toyota talked about their worldwide efforts and what they do at their facilities, like at Princeton, where they do a carbon offset with trees planted around it. No waste goes out of there. You bring your lunch, you don't take anything back out. They have high environmental standards there. Then the speaker from Purdue got up and they had, over years, created a program. And this program only looked at temperatures. So you could look at Vincennes, you could look at Indianapolis, you could look at any place you wanted and look about the warming of those areas. So Vincennes, they plotted it slowly going up. We're in the industrial age, slowly going up. And then the last couple decades, it's went up quicker. And what they did is they charted that out to 2050, right? Not very far from here. It'll be so hot here that you won't be able to grow corn. It'll be tremendously hot here. And this is not some theory or anything, it's just looking at the chart of where temperatures will be. So when people oppose renewable energy, they're turning their back on their grandchildren and children that will be trying to live here, which will be trying to farm here under atrocious heat. Just in March, right, we set a record in Knox County, 3 different days for the hottest ever on those days. One of those days, thousands of cities across the United States set the all-time record for heat in March. Farmers have been planting crops all over the place in March because they realize you got to get those crops in, it's very warm, and you got to beat the drought. So we have to think about that future and what it's going to be like here as temperatures climb. I'm fighting to make an impact on that, and that's what renewable energy does. I very much appreciate the opportunity for all of you to allow me to speak. This is an important thing, so thank you very much.
Mike Verge, we own property on Stolting Road, next to where the panels go in. We'll never give up the farm. Promised Bev's dad it would always be a farm, and farm means raising crops or other cattle, pigs, whatever. I just want to point out, Bela or Bola Solar which is the company in Indianapolis, it's owned by a company in Singapore. So if you want to keep selling out to China, go for it. That's all I gotta say.
I'm Tara Harrell in Monroe City. I don't have a dog in the fight, but I just want to say, think about the 35 feet. I mean, most homes, 2-story homes are 20 to 25 feet. And then Kelly brought up a lot of great points that needed to be looked at. And then they talked about different ones being caged in. I mean, let's try to make an ordinance where they can only have so many sides of your home. I mean, we build here, we went to school here, we want to stay in this area because it's not because we want to look at industrial sites right across the street from you. I'll go to my mom and dad's and that's all we'll see down 241 or the back road. You know, I'm just a mile or so away from it all, but just really think about the 35 feet. I mean, we go on vacation to a little place just because you can't have anything over 3 stories high there, just because to get away from like the city area, you know, I mean, 35 feet is ridiculous to be taller than the houses and everything, but that's all I got.
I used to be a custodian. My name's David W. Wilson II. My father was David Sr. I was born in 1970. I'll be 56 pretty soon. My dad was born in 1909. My mom was 40 whenever I was born. My dad was 60 whenever I was born, so I consider myself a lucky shot. I grew up on a farm, still have the farm, lease the farm to produce and crop. We used to have livestock. You made a lot of good comments today. I've been coming to a lot of these meetings, okay? And I value these people behind me, both sides, because I really don't like being told what I gotta do on my property. I have rental properties here in Knox County. I have open lots. I have pole buildings. Getting ready to build a restaurant, had to go through area plan, have to move gas lines, have to deal with all of that cost me thousands of dollars. I'm retired from Toyota. Toyota was mentioned, but Toyota it's about, I should know it because I walked across it I don't know how many days. But you're talking massive acres under roof, and I don't know of a solar panel on top of it to actually run the factory. There might be some solar panels out there flashing lights on a stop sign or running a light in the landscape, running some maybe small things around there. But by no means is there very much solar on that ground, and they have extra ground. And they put trees in, and they do a lot of that kind of stuff. I can get long-winded. I'm gonna try to keep this short, because I'm kinda like Forrest Gump. I had to go to the bathroom about half an hour ago, but I didn't wanna miss nothing. And I've seen people talk that are on both sides, and like I said, I get the point. If I would've leased, I had opportunity to lease. If I would've leased, I'd wanna hold you to the 50 feet. I'd wanna hold you to that, because I don't like changing the game in the middle. But whenever it has to do with your whole community, it has to do with safety, it has to do with the whole structure of it, it's not gonna kill the people to give you a few feet. Because I can ask you guys questions, is that right? I can ask you guys, I can't ask them, I can ask you guys questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, my comment is gonna be in the comment of the station, as a question. And that includes Drew Porter. You guys sitting up here, on a show of hands, would you want your house 4 sides around there with a solar panel field? Would you want 4 sides? Do you know, okay, all right. Now I made my point. What she's getting at and giving you guys that list of things to do, 5, 6 years ago, that should have been addressed then. Okay? Because I don't have a doctorate, I don't have a master's, I don't have a bachelor's. I'm not chasing what's going to be the temperature tomorrow, what it was 60 years ago, but what Knox County is. And I'll agree with the one statement. We shouldn't be arguing about this. We should be talking about our infrastructure that'll bring kids back. I got a 22-year-old son that's doing very well. I got a son that's going to be 20 that's going to school and doing very well. He's soon to be 20. But what's going to keep him here? Because my dad that was born in 1909, the population is about the same as what it was when he was a year old. That to me shows we have problems. But I don't think solar panels are going to bring our kids back to here. I don't see it increasing jobs. And I've been to enough of these meetings that you guys have been dancing back and forth with area plan, and you know, I mean, you're trying to do it. I mean, you're trying to get it without making everybody mad. But there's going to have to be give on both parties, both sides. I had an opportunity to lease. I didn't. I valued my ground more than that. I valued my childhood growing up with the livestock. And with her coming to the table with some of those changes, I gotta say she did fair, but she let the gate open 5, 6 years ago. But I'm saying the gate's open. Now you're trying to get the cattle back in, and she's trying to get the cattle back in. But everybody's going to have to work together and grab their backbones and get a decision made, because what we should be doing, getting this behind us and focusing on what's going to keep our kids here. And I don't have to be like my brother and move away to be with my grandkids. So I really don't have a dog in the fight, but the whole county has a dog. And when that lady gets sentimental, she grew up this. She grew up here. You guys grew up here. It matters to people outside of who's involved. But if you weren't born and raised here, you don't get all of it. You just don't. And these ones that are transplants and they're in here because of their spouses and they love their spouses and they're building homes, look in your backyard. Go home. I challenge all of you. Go home. Look in your backyard. You look at what you see. How far do you want them away? How far? My kids play baseball. I want my grandkids to play baseball. We hit golf balls. We hit whatever kind of ball you want. I know you guys probably played something with your kids. Do you want that safety element there? And I agree with these guys. Let them put their solars, but give them a little bit of room. Not asking to tear down the whole solar dream, but give them a little space to breathe.
sorry. If there's nothing else, thank you. Our next meeting will be April 21st at 6 p.m. here in the city chambers. Make a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.